start the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. Saw content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
With all the wonderful third-party games coming to the Switch 2, you'd think it would be an exciting time for Nintendo fans. And in a way it is. Finally, the system getting some more titles for the Switch 2 that fans have been asking for. But here's the kicker, most of the games are being released on game key cards. Now let's be honest, everyone already knows game key cards suck. They are basically placeholders that let you download the game digitally instead of actually owning it physically. You don't get the full game on the cartridge, you don't get a real preservation, and in the long run it just feels like a lazy cop-out. The only time I personally think they're somewhat acceptable is in two very specific cases. Either the game is way too big to fit on the current cartridge of 64 gigs, or the game is extremely tiny and doesn't really need the full cartridge space in the first place. In those situations, fine, I will give it a pass. But here's the real issue, Nintendo only offers developers two options right now, a 64 gig cartridge or a game key card. There's no middle ground, no larger option, no flexibility. So when you have big titles like Hitman, Street Fighter, Octopath Traveler, and plenty others, guess what most third parties are choosing? Yep, the dreaded game key card route. And when that happens, the responsibility falls partly on them, sure, but let's not pretend Nintendo doesn't play a massive role in this situation by restricting cartridge sizes in the first place. And this is where the Nintendo fanboys come charging in, ready to do their usual round of damage control. They'll bend over backwards to defend Nintendo, always blaming the third-party publishers and conveniently ignoring the fact that Nintendo set these limitations to begin with. It's the same tired excuse every single time. Well, Nintendo puts their games on the cartridge, so it's not their fault. Newsflash, that is the bare minimum. That's not some amazing consumer-friendly move. That's literally the least they can do. No one should be patting Nintendo on the back for doing the absolute baseline of what's expected. But here's where it gets hilarious. I've been looking at some of the solutions that these fanboys have been coming up with to excuse or fix the problem, and honestly, it's hilarious. I've come across 4 different fanboy theories and each one is more ridiculous than the last. They are all offer completely different fixes to the same situation, and instead of holding Nintendo accountable, they're trying to twist the situation into something that somehow makes sense in their heads. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay out these 4 fanboy solutions and I'll let you decide for yourself which one is the dumbest idea of them all. Spoiler alert, they're all bad, but some of them are so out of touch that it's hard not to laugh. The first one, this one had me shaking my head the hardest, comes from none other than OJ from Player Essence, or as people in my comments love to call him, Glazer Essence, and honestly I love that nickname because it fits him perfectly in the situations like this. Now here's what OJ says, he doesn't like game keycards because he's a physical collector. Sounds fair enough, right? But then he also loves to admit he doesn't even like switching the cartridges out because he's too lazy, so he usually likes to get digital. I'm not kidding you, he literally said this. So which is it, OJ? Do you care about the physical media, or do you just not want to get off the couch to swap out a cartridge? And here's where it gets even better. His solution to the whole game key card problem is, wait for it, just slap it on a Switch tax. That's right, his big idea is that instead of Nintendo addressing the problem or lowering their insane cartridge manufacturing costs, we as consumers should just eat the cost and pay extra. He doesn't want to pay for $80 games, but if that's what it takes to get it fully on the cartridge, then hey, let's all just sit there and accept it. According to him, adding $10 to every game magically fixes the problem. You literally cannot make this stuff up. It gets worse though. He goes on about how it's actually a good thing that Nintendo uses these more expensive cartridges because that way you can play directly off the cart instead of installing it like on PlayStation. He frames it as this big convenience. Oh look, no installs, no storage space wasted. But then immediately contradicts himself because remember, he says he's starting to like the digital now. So let me get this straight. He doesn't want physical games taking up storage space, but he also doesn't want to bother switching out the cartridge because he's too lazy. Make that make sense. And at the end of the day, his whole take is just one big circle of contradictions wrapped up in a Nintendo defense. And here's the real problem. We shouldn't be the ones footing the bill for Nintendo's outdated business practices. Games are already expensive enough without taking on some imaginary Switch tax, just so we can get the full experience on the cartridge. Instead of asking us to pay more, maybe Nintendo should take some responsibility and lower their cut. Right now, Nintendo takes about 30% share from the third-party developers. Why not make it 15% when it comes to the cartridge production? They're the ones choosing to keep these cartridges limited and overpriced, not us. Because here's the truth, this isn't about solving the problem for consumers. This is about doing damage control for Nintendo. OJ isn't trying to fix anything. He's just tired of hearing negativity that makes Nintendo look bad, so he throws out a nonsense solution that shifts the blame back onto the gamers instead of the company. And if you ask me, that's the exact definition of glazing. Next up, we've got Nintendo Prime, or as I like to call him, Primey. Now, Primey is one of those guys who tries to play both sides of the argument. He'll say things like, oh, I don't like game key cards, but if you actually listen closely, you can tell he's already starting to just accept the all-digital future. And that's the problem. He doesn't even have a real solution. Instead, he falls back on what I like to call fear tactics. His whole argument is basically, well, game key cards are better than going fully digital. If you don't buy them and support them, then the only option left is to go all digital. That's it. That's his big take. But honestly, that's not a solution at all. That's just throwing your hands up in the air and saying, guess this is the way things are. And the funniest part is, he actually says this in his videos like there's no other possible alternative. He'll shrug and go, well, what can you do? As if some unsolved mystery carved in stone by the gaming gods. But here's the thing, there's something you can do. It's not rocket science. How about you actually fight back? Don't buy the game, not the physical with a game key card, not the digital version either. Just stop giving them your money. Only support the games that are released on a full cartridge. That's how you send a message. That's how you show both Nintendo and third-party publishers that consumers aren't going to tolerate half-baked, lazy physical releases. But Primey won't say that. Instead, he'll push this idea that if you don't buy these compromised releases, then we'll just lose the third-party support. And that right there exposes what this is really about. Because when it comes down to it, these guys don't actually care about consumer rights or game preservation. What they care about is being able to say, see, our piece of plastic is better than yours. Look, we have the third-party support. We're not the weak console anymore. That's all it boils down to, bragging rights. It's not about standing up for quality. It's not about demanding better options. It's about clinging to the idea that having more third-party games somehow validates a Switch 2 as superior. And that to me is one of the funniest things I've ever heard of, because if your entire defense is, well, at least we didn't lose them, then you already admitted you're okay with mediocrity. At the end of the day, Primey isn't offering a solution. He just normalizes the problem. He's softening the blow so fans will accept whatever Nintendo and third parties throw at them, and when you think about it, that's not really defending gamers at all. That's defending corporations. Next up, we got Switch Force, or as some people in the comments love to call him, Princess Force. And once again, just like the others, he loves to start off with the same tired line. I don't like game key cards, but unlike the others, he doesn't stop there. Oh no, he takes it to a whole new level with the most extreme fear tactics you've ever heard. See, most of the guys at least try to meet you halfway. They'll say, well, if you don't buy the game key cards, we'll be forced into an alt-digital future. That's already a weak excuse, but at least it's somewhat grounded in reality. Princess Force, he skips right past that middle step and goes full doomsday. His claim is that if you don't buy these game key cards, then we won't just go digital, we'll lose the third-party support entirely. Poof, gone, just like that. Think about how ridiculous that is for a second. He's basically telling his audience, buy these inferior half-baked physical releases or else the big bad third-party developer will pack up their bags and leave forever. That's not advice. That's not analysis. That's straight up manipulation through fear. And the worst part, he's not doing this because he actually believes it benefits the gamers. He's doing it so he and the other Nintendo super fans can keep bragging about their piece of plastic. It's superior because it has all the third-party games. That's what this is really about, console war bragging rights, not consumer rights. But here's where it gets absolutely laughable. His great idea to fix the solution is, I swear I'm not making this up, just don't call them physical releases. Yep, his solution is basically to slap a new label on the same problem. Don't call them game key cards, call them something else. And suddenly the issues disappear. You really can't make this stuff up. That's like taking a broken car, spray painting it a new color, and then pretending it runs fine. Changing the name won't change the fact that these aren't true physical games. And I have to say, out of all the so-called solutions I've heard so far, this one might be the dumbest, because at least the others are trying to come up with some kind of workaround. Even if it's bad, Princess Force's grand plan is literally cosmetic. It doesn't solve the storage problem, it doesn't solve the preservation problem, it doesn't solve the consumer rights problem. All it does is trick people into thinking the issue doesn't exist by hiding it behind a shiny new name. At the end of the day, that's not a solution. That's rebranding the problem. And the fact that someone with a big platform is pushing this idea shows you how far some of the Nintendo influencers are willing to go to defend the company. Instead of holding Nintendo accountable, instead of demanding real answers, they'd rather rename the problem and tell you to stop complaining. And if that's the best defense they've got, yeah, that tells you everything you need to know about them. And last but not least, we've got none other than Harmon Smith. Now, Harmon is kind of an interesting case because, like me, he runs a smaller channel. His audience isn't massive, and because of that, a lot of people don't take him seriously. But make no mistake, this guy is the biggest Nintendo fanboy you will ever meet. At least with someone like Nintendo Prime or Player Essence, they occasionally call Nintendo out. Sure, it's usually over something minor that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but at least they pretend to hold Nintendo accountable once in a while. Harmon, forget it. He will never call Nintendo out. Not once. Not ever. I honestly don't even know who's worse between him and Princess Force. One tries to scare you with doomsday tactics, and the other just blindly follows Nintendo no matter what. Pick your poison. Now, Harmon does what they all do. He starts with, oh, I don't like game key cards, but then he also says, well, I don't like physical at all. Just go digital. It's better. And that's it. That's his solution. Just give up on physical media entirely and embrace digital-only gaming. Now, let me be clear. I don't have a problem with digital. I'm not one of those people who screams digital's bad no matter what. I usually just buy the game wherever it's cheaper. Sometimes that's digital, sometimes that's physical. And if I really love the game, yeah, I'll buy it physically, even if it costs me a little more just to have something to put on the shelf. So I'm not against digital, but I'm also against pretending digital is the solution to physical media being gutted. It's not. It's just waving the white flag. And here's the wild part. As much of a hardcore fanboy as Harmon is, somehow he actually comes across as more reasonable than the other three. And that's sad, because all he is saying is go digital. That's it. That's not a solution. That's not consumer advocacy. That's just giving up. But when you compare it to Player Essence wanting a Switch tax, Nintendo Prime shrugging acceptance, or Princess Force, let's just change the name idea, suddenly Harmon doesn't sound quite as crazy. But here's the big difference. Harmon's a small creator. His influence is limited. The other three, they built massive followings. They do this full time. They have thousands of people listening to them, shaping their views and defending Nintendo at all costs. And instead of using that platform to demand better for gamers, they're using it to normalize bad practices, excuse laziness, and gaslight the community into thinking this is just how it has to be. And honestly, that's the saddest part of all, because Harmon Smith, the guy with the tiny channel and the loudest fanboy energy you'll ever see, might actually be the most straightforward of the bunch. He's still wrong, but at least he's not running damage control with smoke and mirrors. The others, they're doing PR work for free. I'll go ahead and link all their channels down below so you can see for yourself exactly what I'm talking about. I'll also include the specific videos where they bring this topic up, except for Primey, because he hasn't done a dedicated video on it. He just kind of sprinkles his takes into random uploads here and there, so you'll have to catch them when they come up. But let me make this crystal clear. Do not send hate. Do not harass these creators. That's not the point of this video. I'm not here to start some kind of witch hunt or pile on. I'm here to critique their arguments, break down their logic or lack thereof, and show how their solutions don't actually help gamers. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, even if I think it's misguided or flat out wrong. So if you check out their channels, do it with an open mind, watch their videos, listen to what they have to say, and then decide for yourself if you agree with them or not. At the end of the day, this conversation should be about holding companies accountable and content creators and demanding better for us gamers, not tearing people down personally. And now it's time to read off the members of the channel. We got Koros Objective, Maximilian Pegasus 88, Matt Fox 94, Shade Milkman, Oh No It's Justin, Brian Payne, Andy Ritz, J Wesby 65, C Stars Piplup, Astrius Lane, Maximus 2400, and John Molina. Thank you so much for becoming part of the crew. And if you truly enjoy this content, why don't you think about becoming a member? It's only $1 a month. You get special emotes, badges, and you get a shout out at the end of each video until it becomes too long, and then it'll be turned into a credit roll. And also, I got an awesome merch lined up for you guys. I got amazing shirts, hoodies, I got coffee mugs, I got desk mats, I got a bunch of different kinds, so why don't you check it out also. And please like, share, and subscribe, and until next time guys, stay vigilant.
You can cry in the comments, but you won't survive. Like and subscribe if you feel that vibe. We're hard